the problem with the private chefing is you have to have the right client. If you don't like the client, you're going to quit in 6 months or a year. If they have a great client, then you could stay for a long time. So it's very personal, right? The private industry. So the scheduling and the job, a lot of private chefing to me is timing. The perfect position is not always there. Chris, it's not like you have all these positions perfect for everybody. It doesn't work.
No, there's a lot less clients. If you work in a restaurant, you can't count how many restaurants there is, but as a private chef, there's a lot less. And also it's only the top end of the chef that can really
do that,
secure
right?
a job and keep it as well, because it's
and keep it.
Yeah. Welcome to the Montclair podcast. Today we have David Schlosser. David Schlosser was born in California. He's an American chef. He has worked in some of the best restaurant in France as an apprentice, or as a stagiaire, I should say, for about 2 years. We're talking, top 3 Michelin-starred restaurant, all 4 of them. He then moved back to the US, where he worked in some of the best Japanese restaurants in the US. Worked in Japan as well. Afterward, he opened his own restaurant in Los Angeles called Shibumi. Shibumi is celebrating their 10 years anniversary this year, I think. They have 1 Michelin star, so it's the story of an American chef that has moved to Japan, went back home to the US and opened his own traditional Japanese restaurant and was awarded a 1 Michelin star. So incredible story. He's super passionate, very, very, very interesting guy, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's go. Welcome to the Montclair podcast. Today we have an incredible chef. We have David Schlosser. Is that how you say your name, David?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, David Schlosser. David, for the one that don't know you, I know what you've done. I know how much you've achieved. But can you do a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. So yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles in Santa Monica, California. And it's been a long 30-year career. So I guess to start things off, I worked at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and after for about a year, it's called 72 Market Street. It was owned by Dudley Moore. I fell in love with the craft, and I was really unexpected how much I fell in love with the whole environment in the kitchen. So I ended up going to CIA. It's called the Culinary Institute of America. It's the oldest cooking school in the United States. Really, really good start for me. I was very excited there. It was a 2-year program. And then once graduating, I was the only person in my class to get a job at a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Back
Wow.
then, it was Europe only. So obviously it was in France. It was at a very special restaurant called Georges Blanc outside of
Yep.
Lyon. Um, but that was a very big moment in my life. It's because like you're starting off very, very strong. So I was there. I ended up working at 3 more restaurants in France over the course of a year and a half. All 4 restaurants had 3 Michelin stars. So when
Incredible.
it was very hard work. It's funny. I quit, and I could have stayed actually longer. I was destroyed, Chris. I'll just be honest. I was really, really
Yeah.
tired.
We're talking,
Um,
when was that about? Was that like in a
90,
90s?
98 and 99.
Yeah.
So late 90s. But I don't know if it's still doing that schedule, but back then we had to work Monday through Saturday, and we started at about 8 in the morning, and we finished at about 11 at night. We have about an hour and a half break in the afternoon, but that was the schedule. Not
Hmm.
George Blanc, like all of them. That's kind of standard schedules. So it was amazing, the energy, the attitude, and the passion of the chefs in the kitchen. It was really inspiring, really intense. I ended up learning, it's like going to getting a PhD in cuisine when you start your career like this. Um, I moved back to Los Angeles at that point, and basically went to the best French restaurant in LA. That was the idea. It's the only place I wanted to be. It was called La
Which one was
Roserie.
it?
It was called La
L'Orangerie.
Roserie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were open about 25 years. But the chef Ludovic Lefebvre, he was he was working in Paris at L'Arpège years before me. So when I asked for the interview, it was a very good connection because I just came
Yeah.
back from L'Arpège. So we hit it off, and my French was amazing. It's gotten worse now. Um, but we hit it off, and I was working there. I was there, and then after that, I ended up working at, I left and went and worked at a restaurant called Balthazar, and Ludovic gave me my first head chef job, and was a really, really bad idea. I was 25. Uh, I don't recommend anybody head chef in the mid 20s. It's just not good.
Yeah.
You're not ready. You are not ready. Maybe you can make a good velouté soup, but you cannot manage and run a whole business at 25. I mean, it's not easy. You're not trained for that. So, that was not going well. I ended up going over to, I left there and I went over to Thailand on vacation for a month with
Hmm.
my friend. We had a 3 day layover in Tokyo. Um, didn't plan anything in Japan. All the planning was in Thailand. And we ended up, I fell in love. I couldn't believe how amazing Japan was. Yeah, this was in 2000, 2001, early. Um, I couldn't believe how amazing it was. And then I had some food there, and I was like, I'm changing my whole career. I'm gonna
Yeah.
quit French cuisine. I love French cuisine and Western, but I need to dedicate myself to Japan. And
Why?
I think,
What
um,
was the thing that you saw that was so different or that inspired you?
so, obviously I'm working at a very high level French restaurant. You see the passion. It's so beautiful. They really care for the ingredients. It just was in a different way in Japan. I felt a little lighter. The food doesn't use any fat unless it's tempura,
Yeah.
but there's no oil, there's no dairy. So you feel really good. You feel lighter. All the seafood that you're having, the variants of the seafood. It was also the people too. Everybody was so respectful to you, even though you're in a foreign country. You looked very different, obviously. Um, but also Zen Buddhism. I was studying that at the time profusely. I just would really loved going to the temples, meditating. Um, just the food and just the people and how clean such a big city could be. I just fell in love. I was just like blown away. So anyway, went to Thailand, had a good time, came back, and I realized I needed to find a job in Japan. It's just what I wanted to do. It was very difficult to get a visa. No one was going to hire me in Japan. I ended up finding a job in Thailand it's at the Imperial Hotel at in the island of Koh Samui. And
Yeah.
this was in 2002. Um, that was incredible experience. Again, I was head chef, and that was fun and stuff. But what was different about this place was the labor was so low, like making a couple $100 a month, the
Yeah.
staff. So I
Hmm.
had like over 25 cooks, and we were medium busy. So everyone was standing around. I had such a big staff, so it made my job easier when it's overstaffed, right? Everybody was kind of, and but what we were doing was French. I was doing French cuisine at the time because that's all I knew, and I was using all the ingredients from the island. So the local people love that, especially the staff, because I'm taking their ingredients and manipulating like a French chef would. I
Yeah.
ended up I ended up leaving there because I realized I could just stay here for the rest of my life. I mean, sitting on the beach and getting paid and girls and having a good time and I don't know, it's paradise. It's on this island. But I knew I wanted to do more. I love the Thai people and the Thai food. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to Japan. At the time I moved back, my friend Nick was working at a restaurant called Ginza Sushiko in
Hmm.
Beverly Hills. At the time, this was the most expensive restaurant in the United States. So it was 350 a person, no drinks, in 2002.
Okay.
So Nothing, not even in
Why,
France. There was no
why was it so
restaurants like that.
expensive? Was it the ingredients? Was it the technique? Was it the
Yeah.
chef himself that was unique? I wouldn't say
Well,
was.
first of all, I guess the importing of things was not the same back then from Japan. So you can only get from like one or two companies. If you had a
Yeah,
Japanese restaurant in Los Angeles, you only had one or two companies to buy
yeah,
ingredients. Um, Masa had an import company that he set up in Tokyo. So he imported the ingredients to his own company and then shipped it to himself. So what was happening was he was getting the exact same ingredients at the best sushi restaurants in Japan. We were
yeah,
getting those ingredients. He bypassed the distribution network. So he was the
yeah.
distributor in Japan and shipped it to himself. So that required a lot of work, and his ingredients were you can't, I mean, you couldn't match it. Now it's better because of the shipping and now 2025. But back then, we were importing also leaves, dirt, uh, different animals. Like we got all kinds of crazy things that were just shipped in, kind of illegal a little bit.
Yeah.
Not
I was
passing
just gonna
any
ask.
custom,
I mean, yeah.
not really customs involved here. So, we would have to go to LAX and go pick it up, uh, every week. And, yeah, the level of precision is was nothing like you've ever seen. So it's kind of like when I went to George Blanc. You know, the I ended up getting a job there, and Nick got me the position. It was really a big honor because at the time I was the first white guy to work for him
Okay.
because he's
So straight
it's
after
only
Thailand, you
Japanese.
went back to the
LA.
US and you worked at Masa Takayama.
Yeah, I ended up working there, and that was a big honor because he didn't really hire non-Asian people or non-Japanese
Okay.
staff. So this again, it sounded like George Blanc. It was like a big honor that I was there. Uh, my passion grew about Japan, and one that was my first Japanese kitchen too. So again, it was very serious, very high level, and I had to shave my head on day one. They had the clippers. They said, "You ready to work? You cut your hair off. Done. Bald. Everybody in the staff."
Okay.
So it
Can I ask
was,
why? I mean, I can see the
yeah,
obvious reason, like the
sure.
sanitary reason, so there's no hair that falls in the food. But is it more of a military
No,
system? And
no. So the history is about going back to the Zen Buddhists. So the monks
uh,
will shave their hair for purity reasons and for cleanliness. So they want to portray clean. They're touching a raw fish with their hands and we put it in your mouth. So you want the perception, everything to be really clean, cleaner than you've ever seen. Um, always, the jacket is always here. It's never on here because you want to see the cleanness of your arm. So, and then everything has to be clean, no hair anywhere. Uh, so
wow.
it was really serious. And there's no talking as well. You cannot talk in the kitchen. Even in France, you could talk a little bit. If I want to talk to you, Chris, I have to kind of come close to you and I whisper in your ear, "Hey, can you get me some salt or something?" I don't know. Any sort of
Yeah.
question for you or talking to you, you have to go to your ear and whisper. Because when I'm preparing the foods, I don't want to hear any noise, is what Masa says. I want complete, it's like meditation. Kitchen is
Wow.
meditation. No music, no chatting, no hanging out. Do you want to make the best food in the world? This is how you do it. This is his way. So I was like, wow, so different than France, right? Um, so again, this is crazy. Like starting off your way of cooking in this way. It was really changed my life, right? So your standards become very high now. And it's actually a curse, which I will tell you later down the line why this became bad for my career. Um, Masa ended up moving to New York City at the Time Warner Center. His predecessor, Urasawa, um, took over the restaurant. And when he asked me to move to New York, I said, "No, Masa, I'm so sorry. I don't want to move with you because I'm trying to go to Japan. I don't want to even do sushi. I want to learn and study non-sushi, Japanese food." So he's like, "Okay, fine. Until you get your visa, you should stay with Urasawa and help him open." So I opened Urasawa, and again, it was he charged a little less. It was 300 per person, and we had this. He had all the same customers and the same fish and the same everything, all the connections. So it was very nice of him to
Yeah.
give his number two his restaurant, a little bit more traditional way. So I ended up working there, and then after that, I left, and I was started doing. I got in some huge fights with Ursa. We did not get along very well. The
Why?
staffing was, him, me, and a dishwasher. That's the whole staff.
Wow.
So there was no staff. So I had to do everything. It was a lot of work. There was also no eating, no staff meal at all. So you come in 12 and you leave about 11 or 12. And you better eat before 12 because you're not eating till midnight because he wanted you hungry. So if you're hungry, you're a little bit angry. If you're a little more angry, you're a little more focused. And if you're more focused, you're going to make better food. You know, when you're full and have a lot of food, you want to take a nap and sleep.
Yeah. Hmm.
So this is the opposite. It's like
What
Hunter,
about the right
but
middle?
Hunter.
Not full, not hungry.
No, that's too satisfied. He wants you unsatisfied. Like,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
crazy. This is just, just again, it's a different way. I'm learning these very intense methods there. So, but he's creating some of the best Japanese food, period, especially in the U.S., like by far. I'm at a temple of Japanese cuisine.
Yeah.
Um,
Are we talking
uh,
sushi or are we talking traditional
yeah,
Japanese cuisine?
yeah, sushi. He had about 8 appetizers, and then sushi after that. Yeah, we had a soup, and yeah. Um, I ended up leaving there and I started doing a lot of private chefing because once I left here, there was no Japanese places I could work at in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Everything was back then was just, typical regular places. So he kind of damaged me with the levels of him and Masa. But I started cooking for many different families in Los Angeles and New York, and I would kind of had made some good money, and I would go to Japan as much as I could. I ended up getting some friends there, and this girl Ayako, she told me about a position opening cooking for the U.S. ambassador to Japan. So this
Hmm.
position was a government job, working for the State Department as the personal chef to the U.S. ambassador. Oh, Chris, I told you that, I guess. So, but this was like one of the best private chef jobs because it's with the government and um, it was like not royalty, but it was very, very coveted position. All
Yeah.
the staff was wearing tuxedo every day. All the plateware was the same the President of the United States had. It was the same plateware they shipped, same coffee cups, same forks, knives, everything they use in the White House. It was the same company. So very
Yeah.
high level, very formal, and I cooked for the ambassador and his wife. Of course, we had diplomats coming from around the world. We had to do fancier foods, but on a daily basis, pretty basic
What did you
lunches.
cook, David? Was it variety of things or it
Not
wasn't mostly
Japanese food.
Japanese cuisine, right?
No, 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 no. So, well, he was Thomas Schiffer. He was from Texas, and a little bit boring. He wanted like steak and like some mashed potato or broccoli, and kind of basic on a regular day. He didn't want
Hmm.
Japanese food and French. He said a little bit. He told me. I said fine. So, a lot of my education in Japan was after work. I'd get off work.
Yeah.
They would eat so early. I'd get off work at 6 or 7, and I'd go out pretty much almost every night. And I'd go eat
Yeah.
and talk and learn and stuff like that. So it was great because the ambassador gave me the visa. Otherwise, it would be
Yeah.
impossible it's very hard to get a work visa there in Japan. Um, but yeah, so I started working, and then I left when President Obama took office because Carolyn Kennedy, the ambassador at the time, she had a chef, which was fine. I ended up going down to Kyoto, and I started working at a few different restaurants there. Um, one of the most important ones was called Arashiyama Kicho, the three Michelin star. That's also like 500 per person and in 2007. So very
Yeah.
serious stuff. Very serious stuff. We had plates from the 17 and 1800s, the dishware. And so
Yeah.
you're eating dinner with a history. So the restaurant's 100 years
Yeah.
old, and you're eating like food on art. pieces because in Europe they use a white plate, right? In Japan,
Yeah.
they look at ceramics very different than in China, even China or even just Europe. It's the plateware is very, very important. So it's the
Yeah.
ceramic style, the artist, why do we serve these plates? We'd also change all the dishware every 3 months. So in the springtime, we use a spring dish. Summer, summer dish. Winter, winter dish. Fall, fall dish. So you have a
It makes
really
sense. I
different
mean, if you change
feel.
the menu,
Yeah.
why not changing the tableware?
The
Of
plates.
course.
Yeah,
Makes
right. The
sense.
chefs in Europe, they change the menu, they don't change the plateware, right? So it's just another level. We would also make the chopsticks by hand from bamboo and chestnut trees. We'd
Of
also have
course.
to learn the flower arrangements and what is the flower of this month? Why are we highlighting this and studying this? We'd also have to study calligraphy after work. So with the charcoal ink, and we would do painting. So you would learn to know how to handwrite your menu. So when you have your own restaurant, you actually know how to do the calligraphy, so writing your menus.
Wow.
We'd also have to study the tea ceremony as well. So all
Yeah.
these things are kind of like all encompassing of culture of Japan, not just
Hmm.
making the fish and going home, right? Kicho was it's kind of like a school there. Also, they required all employees 5-year minimum contract. Oh, not minimum, just there's a 5-year contract to work there. That's it. So all the staff was working there between 5 and 20 years. It's crazy. So I had a special exception because of my powerful friend named Ota-san, and he ended up calling and recommending me to come visit for 5 months temporary, like stage, right?
Yeah.
Like a stage position. And I remember the chef saying, there was a guy there for 10 years, and he said, David, you understand how lucky you are? I said, why? He said, because in 10 years, you were the third stage in 10 years
Wow.
that he's ever seen in the kitchen because they don't do stage there.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of like Masa, George Blanc, like this thing keeps happening to me that you have to understand the privilege and rare opportunity that you have and have a deep respect. And when I'm learning these things, it's like these secrets. I mean, you have to realize a lot of this was before social media and the internet was not very good. And I feel like you can get information now as a young cuisinier.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, Chris, when you were young or in the 90s, you want to learn a recipe, it's kind of hard to find. And you
Yeah.
have a master chef showing you, you know? Now you have YouTube or TikTok. It's like crazy. So I honestly think there's more emotion and there's more passion back then because we're all muted. Everything's the same with the information with your phone. So I'm very privileged to have grown up before the phone because I think the passion comes from learning from these masters. That's where it comes, right? And why do
Yeah.
these masters have passion? Because their masters taught them this high
Hmm.
level too, right? It's all generational. So what I realized later in life, I actually was back in Los Angeles and I worked at like a regular restaurant. It was terrible, Chris. I couldn't work there because the level was so high in Paris and Kyoto that I don't relate to these people. I don't relate to these cooks. I don't relate to the chef or the waiters. Like, why aren't you going to be at the best of the best all the time? And
Yeah.
it's a little not good for you, Chris. When you start walking into a regular place, you're just going to be regular. You want to work at a regular place, you're going to be regular. That's it. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You want to be the best, you got to be with the best. And that was my idea for decades. It's very stressful though. It wasn't good. I ended up moving back to Los Angeles. I had this idea to open Shibumi. And what I learned was I don't want to open like a $500, 3 Michelin. It's too stressful. Okay. I don't want to do this. Plus, it was for two reasons. One, I don't want to work my whole life to just cook for the rich people. And number two,
Yeah.
cooking is also about sharing. It's about sharing the experiences that you've had. But if I can only show it to 1% of the world, it's not that good. So Shibumi, I wanted to be a little cheaper than very fancy, which is kind of what the one Michelin, like I told my business partner, we can go 2, 3 Michelin star, like we can try to do this angle
Yeah.
before we started
Hmm.
the construction, but I don't want to because it's too stressful. I could see the stress of the chef, the cuisinier, the waiter. It's these 3 Michelin places are not that good to be work in. It's very, very high pressure.
Yeah.
And now that I'm the owner, I don't want the pressure every day. So we did, beautiful food. It was recognized by the Japanese government. In 2019, I was awarded a Goodwill Ambassadorship
Yeah.
by the Consulate General. And that was because they felt that I was representing the cuisine and I was a good middle person from East meets West.
Hmm.
Because the Westerner will make a fusion food because they don't know the food. But if you
Hmm.
really, really understand at a high level, Chris, I honestly believe you will not make fusion because you have such a respect for the cuisine, the culture, the grandmothers before you, the masters. There was no fusion 100 years ago. Are you kidding me? It's a new thing. So they had this passion. I took that passion and I'm going to put it on the plate. So I was against fusion. The government was very happy because you're some Western guy. And I was very honored because there was a recognition that I'm trying to make Japanese food the right way, taste good, not so fusion, and not too expensive.
Yeah.
So, so yeah.
So
But
Shibumi,
now we're
Shibumi is your restaurant, right? What does Shibumi means?
so Shibumi means creative restraint in the arts. It means the woman with the black dress. She doesn't need the makeup and the jewelry and na. It's just a woman can be so beautiful, just a black dress. That's very Shibumi, right? Master what you do and being humble with what you do. And you
Yeah.
don't need so creative to show, oh, I'm a chef, I'm amazing, I'm so creative. So
Yeah.
Shibumi, it's a philosophy. So that's what it means. And I want the staff to kind of always remember to be humble and let the food do the talking. The customer will notice what you
Yeah.
do. If you can make the broth perfect, if you cook the fish perfect, the salt is perfect, the guest is gonna, they're just as happy as with creative. If you make everything perfect, the temperature of your plate is like all the details, right? Chris.
Yeah.
It's hard to do all those details.
It's things
But
that most people don't even see, to be honest. It's things that people don't realize is there. I mean, they enjoy and they feel it,
mm,
but they don't realize unless they look for it that it's actually there.
right,
Like you said, temperature of the plate. Most people don't really see or don't really think about it. Or the way like your cutlery, if in a traditional restaurant, the way your cutlery is facing, if the knife is facing out
mm,
or in, like it's all the small details that makes it an amazing experience.
it's very important, and that was the good thing about the Michelin experience because they looked at every detail. So that was good. I loved having these
Yeah.
habits, but it creates more pressure.
So
Oh,
yeah, no,
so
but so David, you just for the one that don't know, Shibumi, you received a Michelin star for your restaurant
yeah.
in Los
Hmm.
Angeles. What
Yes.
year was that?
That was in 2019.
2019. So now we're 2025. It's been 6 years almost.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you think after getting your Michelin star, do you think you became a better chef? Do you think it changed the way you cooked or the way you thought about your cuisine?
Not really. I think the focus and the recipes was always the same before we opened Shibumi, as it is just
Yeah,
today. That actually hasn't
yeah,
changed at all. No,
yeah.
I mean, we weren't even I mean, Chris, we weren't even trying for Michelin. I mean, my staff, Chris, was wearing t-shirts. There was no uniform when we got the Michelin star. I think we were the only restaurant in LA where they were wearing jeans and t-shirts and no apron, nothing. We were so casual, Chris. I didn't care. I just
That's
wanted
awesome.
amazing food. Yeah. We weren't trying like, oh, I need this star. I mean, if you want, we can do it, but it was just creating great food and great environment. My staff was amazing. And I think Michelin inspectors saw that. They're like, wow, It's not about the
Yeah, that's what it should
chocolates.
be. I mean, it is the environment where you eat is as important as what you eat.
Hmm.
That's I think what I think. But it should reward the food, and mostly the food.
Yeah. Oh, I think Rene, right? And Nomad, he wasn't getting 3 stars because it was too casual, the front of the house. And I think,
Yeah,
right. And I think they changed it eventually, but there was years, right? He got only 2
yeah,
because he wanted this casual service style.
yeah. So David,
So,
I read something about you that you apparently you wanted to be a chess player before being a
yes.
chef.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
So
that was a big, big part of my life.
why? Ho- What's the
Why?
story there?
Well,
Yeah,
my grandfather taught me how to play chess when I was very young. And then, when I was in high school or before, I wasn't playing that much chess, a little bit. But when I basically finishing high school, I got my first apartment in Santa Monica, and there's a coffee shop next to me, and there was just crazy chess everywhere. Everybody was playing chess. I'm like, wow, this is cool. So I get my coffee every morning, and it's just chess players, and I'm like, these people don't have jobs. I mean, what is going on here? They're just playing chess. So when I got out of school, I'd go play chess, and I met a bunch of friends, and really fell into it heavy. I started reading some books on it, and then I got really serious. There was a chess park in Santa Monica, like on the beach. It's a little bit famous, and people were playing for money, and I started beating people, and I started making some money and gambling and playing people, and then I ended up hiring a teacher. I had
really.
a chess master was teaching me, and all my money I would give it to him,
Yeah.
and he would train me,
When was
and
that? When was that, David? Was it before you became a chef, or
yeah, mid 90s, 90, 94, 95, 96.
how old were you?
I was 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
So I started cooking when I was 20. So.
Okay, so it's just before cooking, just before you started in
Yeah. And then when I was
restaurants.
cooking my first restaurant, I was cooking there and I would go play chess at night. So it was just the cooking was kind of a part-time job, to be honest. I ended up
Yeah,
falling in love with the cooking, of course, but before it was just a job to make some money.
yeah. You still
But
play?
it was very difficult though to play because I played in a big tournament called the US Open in LA, and I was doing very well, and I ended up getting killed by a 10-year-old.
From
Yeah.
from Russia.
From, yeah, no, India.
Okay.
India. Yeah, it really was psychologically messed me up because chess
Is that when you
is,
stopped?
I know what you're doing, right? I see what you're doing. I see it's manipulation of the mind, right?
Yeah,
You think you're smarter than me. No, no, no. I'm much smarter than you. It's what chess is, right? So when the kid is 10 and he doesn't just beat me, he killed me in the game, like really bad. And it really messed me up. I mean, I was a kid too. I was just 19, but um, I just thought chess was too difficult at the high level. My teacher used to
yeah,
play me. He used to play me blindfolded and kill me. So he would be in the other room reading the newspaper, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to move my knight to F3," and he's like, "Bad idea. Move my queen to F6." I'm like, "What?" So I made moves for him, and he would kill me just in his brain. So that's kind of the level that chess is, like my teacher was. Like if you want to make a profession, that's
yeah,
the level you have to have it all in your brain. So
yeah.
anyway, that was fun. I still play today a lot, but I realize the high level is, I don't know. I don't know if you can learn it. This,
Do you like to compete? Because it seems
yeah.
like you went, when you went to France, you went to four of the top three Michelin star restaurant as a stagiaire. Then you went to Japan to the best. You went to the
Hmm.
US to the best. You
Yeah.
competed as a chess player.
Right.
Are you still
Yeah.
competing today, even though you
I'm
got a
very,
star?
I'm very competitive. I'm very competitive, and I don't know. I think passion is a curse, and a blessing at the same time. The curse, because you have this drive that could be stressful and people don't understand it. I think it just causes a lot of pain sometimes when you're highly,
Yeah.
highly competitive. Yeah. But now, I'm in my late 40s and just thinking about the next steps. So,
Is it passion, David, or is it obsession?
oh, yeah, definitely obsession. The obsession has gone away though. It's not like I'm reading 100 Japanese books every night now. I used to. I
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
I would just spend all my time in the library in Tokyo when I lived there. Every morning, I would just go
Yeah.
read. Yeah, that was
In
obsession.
Japanese.
No, it was as an English section of
Yeah.
Japanese. Yeah, I'd go to all the libraries with the English section and see if they had a cooking section. Because again, there was no internet. I mean, there was nothing like that back then online. So you had
Yeah.
to go library. Information was important to me.
Yeah. And like you said, it wasn't as available as it is now.
Yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to get really good. That's all. Especially if you're going to be a white person doing Japanese food, then you better know what you're doing because they're going to laugh at you. Or if you do fusion, it's okay, right? Fusion's fine. Oh, he's doing some fun squeezing. People are okay with that. But if you want to get serious about the culture, you better know the basics. Like Thomas Keller, right? With French Laundry. He opened in the
Yeah.
90s a French restaurant, but wait, he's American. Wait, what? All the French people were like, what is this? But you could see he did his thing. He became the best French restaurant in America. And if you look at his dishes, like, wow, okay, he's done some research. So then he earned the respect, um, Mr. Keller. So
Yeah.
it was the same thing for Japan. You're not from that country. You better study, and you better study a lot. So
Yeah. Let's go back to
yeah.
the beginning of your career, David. When after you worked or after you studied at the CIA in the US, you say you went to
Mm.
France, to
Yes.
do stages or internship
Yes.
in this restaurant.
Hmm.
Did you know
Yes.
about this restaurant? How did you find
George
out about
Blanc,
all these restaurants in
no.
France?
So God, I was at school and I was in New York City and I went to the bookstore and I bought this Guide Gomio. You know it, I'm
Yeah,
sure. Go
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gomio.
Goemio.
That was,
Goemio, for
I
the one that
mean,
don't know, is like we have
what
the
is it?
Michelin-starred that gives you 1, 2, 3 star, and the Goemio give you a note out of 20. So if you got 20, you're the best restaurant around. And usually,
Yeah,
if
I'm not sure
above
why.
12, 14, sorry,
I think I think one of my teachers said you should buy Gomio, not Michelin Guide. I was like, really? Okay. So I just bought the Gomio, and it says it has Michelin, whatever. And I basically looked for the best restaurants in France, and I ended
yeah,
up just I wrote the letter and made photocopies and sent them to
yeah,
all the
in
three and
French
two
or in
Michelin.
English.
No, in French, definitely in French. Yeah. So in French, and I sent it, and about 50 letters, and about 25 letters came back saying no, and then two said yes. And one of the two
Amazing.
had three Michelin stars, so of course I picked George Blanc.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was it. So then I
And
went.
David, in your restaurant in Shibumi in Los Angeles, do you take stagiaires? Do you take interns?
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
I do. Oh yeah,
How do you choose them? How do you choose them?
So I don't like 1 week or 2 weeks. I think that's ridiculous. You're not going to learn anything. You're going to take my recipes and just go. I
Yeah.
told them I need 2 months and
Hmm.
over. So 2 months and then maybe 3 or 4 max, I think is good. Um, what I do is I talk to them on the phone. If they're in Los Angeles, I ask them to come in. We talk. I put them in the kitchen. I mean, they don't have to be good, but I want to see the passion and the way they work in the kitchen. And then if it's good, then I'll be like, okay, let's start next week.
Yeah. And what
So
kind
yeah.
of stagiaire do you get? What kind of people apply to work in your
Well,
restaurant?
Shibumi is great because if you're applying for stage or you want to work there, you really have this certain passion for Japan, which is what I like. And I
Hmm.
said, that is the requirement for Shibumi, is that you have a little bit of cooking experience, but you have a serious passion for Japan. Those are my two requirements. But that's it. So I have people that are interested, and I see these stage people, and it's very hard to go work at a Japanese restaurant like especially sushi, if you're not Japanese. They don't really, I don't know. They're like, why are you here? Kind of thing. They're questioning you. But me, I'm American, so I will talk to you and I want to hear why you're interested. And I'm very approachable.
Yeah.
So, so yeah.
Yeah. And how do you find your ingredients in the US now, David? Because you were talking about all these master chefs that used to import everything from Japan. Do you yourself import, or do you feel like now there is more access to, legit and real produce that come directly from Japan, and they are how they should be?
Yes. So I guess, first of all, the vegetables in California are the best in the United States, period. I
Yeah.
don't think it's negotiable. So for
Yeah.
me, I have personal relationships with different farmers. They tell me which things are growing for the next season, and so I go meet these farmers and I pick up the veg. So vegetables are no problem for me. And then when it comes to the seafood, yeah, there's a company called Sakasyu, and they are a special company that works in Toyosu, and they send me on line, like the fish that they're picking up, and they go to the airport and they drive to Shibumi. So there's no middle company.
Wow.
There's no distributor. So that's great. So the fish is a couple days fresher than a fish company where it goes to the warehouse on the ice and then you buy it and it comes to you. No, it just goes
Yeah.
direct. So I save a couple days on fresh fish and the quality is amazing. The problem is a bit expensive. It's very, so if
Yeah.
you don't have a
That's
nice
like,
restaurant,
yeah.
you can't really afford. If that was casual Japanese, you can't buy from them. It's expensive. What are you gonna do? So that's
Yeah.
the only issue with them. They don't have cheap for less expensive fish from Japan. It's
Yeah.
all top
Do
stuff.
you dry age your fish? Do you feel like you should always
We
do it,
do.
or?
So we do. It depends. Like sardine, not so much. The bigger the fish, yes. We have a dry aging unit in the fridge. So what I recommend the chefs, the young chefs, is 10%. So if you have a 1 kilo fish coming, you dry age it when it's 900 grams. Perfect. You could do
Interesting.
12%. Yeah, when you dry
Okay.
age, because there's some guys that dry aging 20% loss. It's too much for me. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like dry
It's
aged
like the
beef.
meat. It's like the meat to be exactly. It's like the beef.
Yeah,
Some people like it,
too much.
30
A
days,
little
60
bit's
days.
great.
Some people, yeah, some
100
people take
days, too
120
much.
days.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no. You don't taste the beef anymore. It's just funk, smelly.
tastes like foie
So
gras.
yeah, there's a sweet aging for me. So for fish,
Yeah,
10% is
sweet
great.
spot.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it. Hmm.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, I've got a story for you, David, or a question I want to say. What do you want to say to because I worked on yachts for many years, as you know, and when you have someone on a yacht, either charter guest or the owners that go fishing, there's always this, they fish from the back of the boat, or they go with the fish, the special boat to go fishing. They catch something, and then straight away they run to the kitchen, to the galley, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna have this for tonight, sashimi."
Uh-huh.
What
Yep.
do you want to
Yep.
tell them? What do you want to tell them?
Mm.
Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah, it's okay, but okay. What I would like to not teach my boss, but I would say yes, of course. So they're my boss, so I would say yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes, of course.
I would also,
Yes,
I would
but
say, I would say I'd like you to try the same fish I would like to make for you in 4 or 5 days, and I'm
yeah,
sure he'll
and
say yes.
they're gonna open eyes like this, and they will be like, "What?"
Yeah, well, I'll explain how you need the water content out. There's too much water in the fish. So when you take the water out, your tongue can detect the umami of the proteins more. So I just have to explain, I guess, a little bit of science as to why it's better because you have more flavor. It's like dry aging a cow. When you kill the cow, you're not going to eat the cow the same
No,
day,
you
right?
can't. You
You
can't.
have to hang the meat or a duck, right? A duck is terrible. Have you ever killed a duck the same day? It's not good. You have to dry age the duck a couple days. It's the protein. It's all the same. Um, what also is good though, same day, Chris, is the heart and the liver of the fish.
Yeah.
That not dry aged. No, the
Which
heart,
David,
the
which they
heart.
would probably not eat, to be honest.
Oh, oh, I would say heart. The heart and the liver of the fish, amazing. Same day
Yeah.
when it's alive. It's
What do you do
really
with it?
clean.
Just
It's
slice it
clean.
thinly and
Sashimi.
yeah.
Sashimi, I can put it on the sauce and that's it. You can do a little salad on the side. I recommend that for sure. Same day.
Yeah. So for all
Yep.
you super yacht owners that are watching, please just stop asking the chef to, cut the fish into sashimi once you caught something in the morning. Just give it time, give it a couple of days at least, please.
Right, right. I guess that happens to you a bunch, Chris, or it did. That's funny.
Yeah, every time, every time. And then
Oh
it's
yeah?
like, I will have to tell you again. Do you know this is not how you do it? You have to let the fish relax, the contract, like, like let the
Yes.
muscle. Because, hey, to be honest, if you cut a fish, as soon as you get it out of the water, it's like strong, like your fist, like the meat is so tough,
Right. I see. So
right?
you tell them, Chris, or do you just say yes, chef? Yes, boss. Or do you tell them or
Look, if they come to the galley, to the kitchen, and they say, "Chef, can we have this?" I will tell them. I would say, "Look, it's better to wait. Can we wait tomorrow lunch at least? Let's wait a little bit. I will prepare. I will fillet it. I will clean it, and then we can have it tomorrow." And I explain to them. I'm not as passionate, as knowledgeable as you are, but I know that you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can actually enjoy the meat, the fish to the fullest.
yes, I agree. I totally agree. Yes.
David, that was an awesome conversation. Just last question. What's next for you? You still have Shibumi?
Well, Shibumi's still moving around along. We're
Yeah,
pushing our 10-year anniversary this year, so we're very excited.
10 years. Congratulations. It's a
Yeah, thank
it's a
you.
long time.
Yeah. So, I'm so happy to serve the community and do like, great Japanese food every day. We've done off-site events, on-site events. It also depends. It just depends on what the opportunities that are coming towards us. We're very willing. We've done some really cool stuff from chefs in New York and Tokyo, and we've done collaborations and stuff. We've done, off-site parties. So we're open to yeah, anything. Just depends what comes to us.
Yeah. If someone comes tomorrow, David, and said like, "Look, David, I want to open the best Japanese traditional restaurant in Paris, New York, in Dubai, I don't know, in Saudi Arabia," and they've got like the power to actually make it happen, would you do it?
I would definitely. I'd love to share what we're doing in a capacity of, super high-end refined and then also a little more casual daily cuisine. So both are great ideas. It just depends on the person and the team and the location. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there you go. Let's find you some investors. Let's let's make it happen.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
That
Appreciate
would
it.
be awesome. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're, like I said before, I know you're busy and you have a lot going on. So, running a Michelin star doesn't allow a lot of time. So I hope you still have time for your family and for yourself. And yeah, would be a pleasure to meet you face to face at some point somewhere.